decentralized VPN, Mysterium virtual private network, Mysterium Bitcoin, Mysterium good investment. Should I invest in Mysterium? Is Mysterium a good coin? Mysterium coin. Mysterium cryptocurrency. Mysterium. Mysterium. Mysterium coin. Mysterium coin. Mysterium coin. Mysterium coin.
This is nothing new. This is a complete yawn fest. People who are new to Forks are getting all FOMO'd. People are blowing up my DMs. People are like, yo, what's going on with this Bitcoin Cash, this Bitcoin stuff? Guys. I've seen this for many years. This is nothing new. It's a complete yawn fest. I'm like yawning, and people are like blowing up my Twitters.
I've been with Dogecoin forever, guys. It's Dogecoin. You guys know it.
What was that? Perfect. You want to be that guy? Wow. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm hanging out with Santa and the decentralized TV crew. We got Jaime, Coach Tamp, and Don Fron from the Don Fron Show. Brad's helping
Man.
Santa get a shipment that is going out a little bit late. He's taking care of it. And here we are. How is everybody?
I just realized that's a Doge behind Jaime. I thought that was a polar
No,
bear.
that's the moon. That's
Doge.
what the moon looks like.
I thought it was a Christmas polar bear. I was waiting for him to crack a cocoa.
We're speaking of shit coins and meme coins. Here we go, Doge. We're gonna get
That is
this
real
coin
moon,
back.
yeah. Well,
Wow.
All right, guys. So it's Friday. Come on, it's fuck off.
So,
We got mimosas.
Yeah.
We got everything. We should have all that stuff
Man,
running.
I'm
know.
the only one without a background, though. I feel so.
no, you do. You're at Santa's
Half-assed.
logistic office. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're Santa
Offices
Claus.
are closed starting tomorrow.
It's
You're
too
at Santa
cold.
Claus.
They had the whole generators break down. She's at alternative logistic location. So yeah.
She's at Santa
Speaking of
Claus's
cold.
HR.
Yeah. Listen, I'm in the southern part of Texas, and it got to 13 degrees here last night.
Yes,
I woke up in the
thank
middle
you.
of the night to get some water, and my cold water doesn't work. It's frozen. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
What's it like living in such a warm part of the country?
Yeah, way better than the cold. Like, I don't understand. And normally I'm in Pennsylvania, and I'm not looking forward to the weather going back up there.
Yeah,
This is-
we had
this
it.
is
The wind
nuts.
chill was negative 43, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I went out. I went to do some Christmas shopping, like from the parking lot, because I always park in the back just to get in. I was like, this actually hurts. Like my
Yes.
ears were stinging. I was like, God, this is cold.
Yeah, it's not good at all. No, I mean, I went outside because I have chickens too, and I went to, I forgot to do something during the day, and so I went out last night to, give them some more warmth. My hands stopped working, guys.
Oh.
What? I'm like, that didn't do anything either. I'm like, what is this? And I had to
Yeah.
run back in. I
remember
ran
it.
back in. They were closing the dryer. I opened the dryer and literally just dove my hands in. I was like, I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. I'm so lost. I'm retarded in cold weather. I feel like I'm a pretty handy person, but the cold has got me stumped.
I went hunting, and I thought I was so cool because I bought the new heated jacket with the drill battery. I'm like, so forget everything else. No hand warmers, no nothing. That battery dies like 2-3 hours in.
Oh no!
It's
Dude.
negative 20. I'm like, I can ride this out. And
Oh
like
no!
by the time I decide I can't ride this out, I am still in my tree.
I can't get down because nothing
You're
works.
committed, dude.
Yeah.
You're committed.
And I'm like, all right, I'm caving. This hurts.
Yeah,
I'm
this
walking
is
back. Sorry, I
stupid.
sound like crap, but I'm literally walking back, holding my bow by the string. It hurt so bad, it felt like the string was going to cut my fingers off. I just had to start running. I was like,
It's
I got to get to the
bad.
truck.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, don't put
Dude.
your hand warmers.
No, and I
Yeah.
see in the chat, everyone's from everywhere in terms of temperature. We have 72 in New York. Gary, I don't know if you're 72 in New York. I'm headed up there next week.
Is that negative
way.
72? Who knows?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Florida, I was just there 3 days ago. Codebug's going to play flag football in 1 hour. Damn.
Oh,
Get
he's
it.
in Florida. He's
Oh,
good.
72 Naples.
It's like the Boca Raton Bowl.
Yes.
If you think under 72 is cold, you'd probably hate my house.
Oh. You're probably
Yeah,
a
I'm a
typical dude that
69
keeps
kind
it.
of guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
y'all keep it
that's
at
where I'm at.
62. It's freezing cold. You sleep in just your underwear. I do not know how you polar bears do it. Like, you guys are nuts for that.
For what it's worth, guys run hot. Like my wife is like her feet are pretty ice cold. Like I run hot though, and all the dogs end up just kind of like slowly migrating over towards me because I'm just this heat packed. So
I hate it. I get so cold. I wear socks in the summertime. I can't. I'm so cold all the time. I hate
Below-
it.
Higher.
you got to do
Below
jumping jacks
65.
before bed.
Below
Doesn't matter.
65 and I'm cold. Like in the
That's
house.
fair.
65
That's
to
fair.
69, and then that's. But I'm one of those people who has it on heat and cold. I do not like. Let's see how long we can wait to turn the heat on or anything. I'm like,
No.
keep it at 69. Like,
I told my wife to go out and grab firewood, and that's usually something I take care of. But I was doing something, and I go out there to like grab the wheelbarrow, and it's full of like sticks. She picked up a bunch of tiny sticks, like logs, dude, logs.
That's what you get. That's why you break a dish when you're doing the washing the dishes.
So funny.
Your
yeah.
wife is smart.
It's like so you thought it was a good idea to pick up just a ton of small sticks that'll
Yeah.
keep the house warm, dude. Like, come on.
We were starting the
Kindling.
chimenea.
He was doing the kindling. Come on.
She's like, yeah, it's how you start a fire. I was like, I only need like 2 or 3 of those. I don't need like the full wheelbarrow. So yeah, that's
Hey,
good.
Dark Side, it's 13 in Dallas right now. It was
Wow.
19 yesterday, according to my
Damn.
family.
Yeah,
So
Dave said it's
we got
negative 19 in Pittsburgh. I'm going just east of that, man. This is gonna suck. My flight's probably gonna get canceled on the 26th.
Ooh.
if you get
Oh,
frostbite,
Good news is,
it's
if
on
the
you.
plane crashes, you probably won't feel it for long.
Yeah, that's fine.
You'll be nice.
Preserve my
feel it.
body.
all of a sudden, you're in the next world.
Yeah. Oh well. So what's going
have
on
an
in crypto
interesting-
world?
We
Yeah.
have an interesting special today because, like I said, I'm working with Santa's Workshop, and we decided we wanted to also do how like A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. There's like 3 ghosts, and they go back into his past and see how things were. We're gonna do that with Bitcoin. We're gonna look at the coins of crypto past and see where are they now, and where we should be today.
All right. Let's
Looking
do
back in 2 years or so. But before we get into that, a little market update real quick. Don't know if Don Fran and Jaime want to take care of me on that. If you don't, then that sucks for me.
Yes, I can quickly jump on Bitcoin itself, and then I'll let you do the general markets, Don.
Sure.
So you can get ready on the zones. So Bitcoin still waiting for us to make up our goddamn minds on the general market. You can see it's holding and hovering where it's been for the entire month, almost dead center. Still below the resistance area we've seen. Now, if we zoom in, for all of you that are worried of where we're at, we're literally where we need to be, guys. So according to the entire historical chart, we've exited in terms of time frames, the bear market zone. Now we're in the discovery zone. And if you notice when I zoom this in, it's bouncing nice and happy at the bottom of the growth S curve. So we are where we need to be. I'm looking, because I'm greedy and I want Santa to take care of us. After SBF and all these fools really tore up the markets for everyone else, we want to get our Bitcoin cheap and our investment, any bags we can hodl for the long run. The time to invest is now, during the bear markets. When everyone's running for the hills, these are the times you should start looking for treasures. You'll
sales, man. Christmas sales.
Exactly. This is fireside sales.
Yep.
And I'm asking Santa, please listen. Brandon, you're close to him. Please hint to him that we do need a little Santa capitulation so we can buy it cheap and then hodl on to the future with this bad boy right here over my shoulder. He's watching us.
To the moon.
So I'm looking for that 13.8. Now let me sustain and show you why. It's because this is one of the market structures we're looking for, is that 13.8 as one of the bottoms. We can see a wick. I'm hoping for a wick as far down as 10,754. Or if we're looking at the overall, which Don has a beautiful chart on that, and sustained, and Gareth Soloway and a few other the guys that have been in the markets traditionally looking at Bitcoin, they're looking specific zones area. So here we go, Don.
I didn't mean to hijack that. I was just adding.
No, I want you to do it.
All right, Jaime, shut up. Let me take over. I never know how to just like add it to it without just specifically just full send.
No, Bob, back to you.
To the studio. Let's go.
I thought we'd have a green day in the markets today because earlier I even tweeted this. Every time I say something out loud, markets wants to make me look dumb. But like we got the PCE data, so algos are trading that, snaps it down, brought it right back up, thinking, oh, cool, maybe shorts are going to cover today. And then maybe I got to delete that zone because there's still sellers there. So still watching for sellers here, buyers here, but it's the end of the year. So traditional markets probably got a whole lot of nothing to offer. If there's any buy side activity, it's probably just shorts covering. No one's out here actually buying the dip.
So you feel that no Santa rally this year, Don?
Santa rallies, yeah. I've been saying for a while, Santa's coming with puts this year. He's coming with puts and bear ETFs, right? You guys just looking in the wrong places. Tamp's in Santa's HR office right now. Ask her. She sees all the files. It's put contracts.
Well, I'll actually talk a little bit about what I see because I rarely ever do this, but there is a chart out there that I have been following for a long time, and it's a Bitcoin halving chart. You can probably just Google it and find it. It's usually a vertical chart with lines that kind of just follows. I think Jaime uses it sometimes in your background for your charts. But if you find a Bitcoin halving chart, the biggest, I guess, negative to the halving chart that is a legit downside to it is that it's a relatively small sample size because it is just purely a halving chart. And we've had 3 of them basically. So that's very small. And I'm not going to deny that that's what that is. But it's very hard to argue that there is very much a historical adherence to this chart. And if things were to play out as expected according to the halving chart, and again, I am not a trader, but this is a chart that I do look at, then our current low hit on November 9th of 2022. I think that we will either test that low, we might go another leg lower past that November 9th low by March 13th of 2023. That's according to the halving chart. Once that happens, we are in for 750 days plus of an uptrend in regard to Bitcoin. Why is this important? Because Bitcoin is the tide that floats all boats. When Bitcoin is up, everything else is up too. Now, there's times in bear markets and even in bull markets where when Bitcoin goes up, it smashes the alts, but that's not what I'm talking about right now at all. So let's just break it down a little bit further. And I have like some notes here and stuff. But according to the halving chart, and again, I know sample size is small, but it is a good chart. A cycle high in Bitcoin to a cycle high in Bitcoin, those two highs in between a halving, they average about 4 years or about 1,460 days. The cycle low to the cycle low averages about 1,200 days. The market typically consolidates on the lows for about 250 days. And we see an uptrend cycle that usually starts about 540 days before the halving. Okay. And our next halving is 2024. Is that right, Brandon?
Yes, ma'am. March.
Okay. So what does that mean for where we are right now? This is what it means according to that chart that, again, I do follow. Our projected cycle high occurs on October 7th, 2025. And Jaime, I think will agree with that. So that is when we're looking at the next Bitcoin high. So when we're back, to our what in this last cycle was around $69,000 when a bunch of people were FOMOing and aping in, we will have that next feeling, which will be well past $70,000, October 7th, 2025, thereabouts. The cycle low apparently occurred on November 9th of 2022. Now, Don, hold on, because I know you're probably going to disagree with this. Okay,
I'm not.
So our consolidation for the lows in that green chart right there that Jaime is showing, our consolidation for that chart to be done, it is scheduled to be complete by around March 13th of this coming year, 2023. So if we don't hit that November 9th of this past November 9th's low by March 13th, odds are we're not going to hit it at all. And we are off to the races. And we're about 70 days from today, about 70 days from our scheduled uptrend, which will take us from the low in that green box to 750 days of scheduled uptrend. Now, that doesn't mean up only, that you won't go up and down, but you won't even sniff the lower lows. We're going up, from there. So we are so close. Is the bottom in? Maybe. I think we're still going to at least test those November 9th lows, which I don't know if Jaime or Don could tell me exactly what that is. What was that? Like 14? Something like 15?
The absolute low?
No, November 9th. Our lowest low of this cycle.
15.4.
Yeah, 15.4-ish. So I do think we will go back there by mid-March. Maybe dip below it. Maybe. Don will talk more about that. But by mid-March, we're done. We're done with the lows, and we're off to 750 days of just pure elation when you pull back. Don't look at the day-to-day, but when you pull back. It's something to look into.
Correct. And you're going to see multiple perspectives, like Tam said. The ones that are entering now will be elated. The ones that entered way above in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they're still like, you're going to see the news. Oh, it's still down from where we were before, Ignore that.
No.
The ones that know enter where they need to enter, and the ones that know exit when they need to exit.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, and it's like Crypto Scouts talking about price actions all gibberish. And I do agree with that to a degree, because Bitcoin's not regulated. I've talked to Don about this before. I don't think you can treat it exactly like a regulated, S&P stock or anything like that. I do agree, because there's a lot of hodlers. But what we're talking about in this chart, just because it's on a chart doesn't mean it's a trading chart. I'm talking about a Bitcoin halving chart and what the price action or value of Bitcoin is according to that Bitcoin halving chart, not necessarily a trading chart. So, I do agree with Crypto Scout on that too. I agree to a degree with that.
And you can look at the charts for someone who sees it as gibberish. At least you get a time reference,
Right.
and also a seasonal reference.
That's
So
fair.
you can't just say it's going to hit this number and that number. No, at least in the macro picture, we're at the lows. In the macro picture, here's where we'll be at the highs. So if you're someone that understands, even a farmer, like you planted during this time season and you harvest in this season, you'll succeed in this.
Yeah, Old Farmer's Almanac. You can't really chart the weather, but you kind of can. Yeah, like Jaime said, you can pull way back and at least see monthly seasons, what typically happens when the moon does this. Typically this happens. And those are signals that we're looking at with Bitcoin as well. Again, not just market price action. It's not that. It's according to the Bitcoin halving schedule, which is huge.
I only buy Bitcoin on a full moon.
Smart. It's when it's the most wild.
I only buy Bitcoin. So. In general.
Jaime, zoom out real quick. Keep that chart up. Just zoom out.
Yes, sir.
Oh
God.
Lord, Don.
Hey,
Welcome back, Don.
We're so glad you're with us, though. Look at you battling.
dying right now. All right. So, first of all, Tamp, I don't really appreciate how you just nonchalantly said you're going to win the bet, and I'm going to be wrong.
Somebody's got to stay real on this.
We know the bottom of Bitcoin will be around 11.8, maybe a little bit lower.
So, guys, wager. The ones that don't know, there's a wager between Don and Tamp. Tamp says it will not go lower than 12,000. And Don says it's going to hit 11,800 or below. If it lands anywhere between those two, they're both right. It's an even. It's a square. If it stays above 12, Tampa is right.
We're both wrong if it lands anywhere between that. I'm not going to settle.
And they both have to eat gum off of Jaime's shoe.
Yeah,
So,
I don't take no losses.
You.
I don't take no losses.
Have you seen my son chew gum? You don't want to eat that.
I will settle for a tie before I let Tamp win. We'll both go down. So 11-9, and we're both wrong. The difference in all these green boxes, if there's one disclaimer to make, is the Feds. The one thing that's different now is the Fed's been printing money in every one of these cycles other than this one right here. So that could be the one thing that I'm looking out for, because I don't disagree with anything Tamp just said, actually. But the one thing I'm looking out for is, do we go a little bit off scale, off chart, off normal patterns, because we don't have our normal players aren't here at the board right now. And I guess you mentioned March, which is going to be interesting, because if we do get into a straight recession and it's rough, the Elon fanboys, they think it's there because Elon said it last night. I think the Feds would have to bring rates down dramatically. And in that case, does it happen around Q1, around that March time? And then all of a sudden we have all the players on board. So definitely interesting to hear March being tossed out there.
Yeah.
Mid-March, I think we're done with this bear market. We'll be crawling out of it.
We'll be defrosting. And everyone knows April showers bring May flowers.
Yes.
At least let Tamp have a seat on one of the lifeboats. There's always room in my lifeboat.
Is that what we still haven't even come up with what the winner of this bet is?
I thought it was like dinner or something like that.
We could do dinner. I mean,
It's like
that's
a-
fine.
it's
Talk
a
about
steak.
It needs to be
not
dinner at a
getting
Brazilian steak place. You got to make it worth it. You talk so much crap. It better be like a hot ticket. So
Yeah, you said you wanted some specific wine or something like that.
No, that was if some people revived FTX and I was right on that, then I was gonna have like a $100 tomahawk steak and a $100 pour
that's
scotch. Neat, because that's the
I'm
only way to
almost-
drink it.
I'm almost down to lose just to go get that because it sounds amazing.
I agree. As long as it's not Salt Bay. Salt Bay is like everybody's mad at him right now, and that's fine. Everybody should
really?
be mad at him. Oh yeah, he made it on. We were talking about he made it on the field at World Cup after Argentina won. He's not even Argentinian. He's Turkish. It was like kissing the trophy and Salt Baying the trophy and grabbing all the players, and everyone's like, it's literally for friends, like in family only on that, and everyone's mad because Salt Bay got on the field.
he has no decorum is the problem.
Yeah.
He doesn't recognize that in a lot of countries, football, or in America we call it soccer,
That's what it's called.
it is really like almost like a holy ceremony, right? Like
Oh, no doubt.
It like represents the honor of your country to other countries. So.
Yep. I get it. I mean, soccer was my sport. I grew up playing it, went to college, played it in college. My brother, my family, everybody did too. And so I get it. Like, he should have never been down there for that. Not that. Like, be in a stand or be in a suite and being a badass at the game, but you don't go on the field and start grabbing players unless you're family. Like, you're there with the team. You went through all the highs and all the lows for 4 years to get you to that point. If that's not you, get off the field. Like, you have no place in this. I don't care how famous you are. So, like, it's fine. Elon was there. A bunch of other people were there. Be in your suites with the sheiks. That's all good. Nothing wrong with that. But get your ass off the field. You don't do that.
So, Coach, damn, Alex Bernard wants to know, what team do you coach? Give him a little background. How are you so comfortable in this industry?
Oh, man. So, like, just like a quick thing, Alex, like, I grew up playing soccer, like I said, all kind of sports and everything, but soccer was my sport of choice. Played it in college. Soccer's a fall sport. So I finished up my soccer career at Texas A&M University and still had a semester of school left before I graduated. And so at that time, I was just in the weight room getting a lift in, and some of the coaches that were there at that time were like, "Hey, we've been watching you for the last 4 years. Why don't you take this student worker spot, while you graduate?" And I was like, okay, cool. Never thought about it. So I took that spot in the weight room and started coaching right there. And I knew, boom, just like that. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I stayed in College Station for 3 years, trained under some of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the game that were there at that point. That led me to Duke University. I was at Duke for 4 years. Then I came to Waco, where I am now, and coached at Baylor for almost a dozen years, for a long time, all in the weight room. So like I coached football. I coached all of them, like all the sports, men's and women's, all for a very, very long time. So that's why I love sports. I love athletes. As a matter of fact, today, one of my athletes that I coached is joining me at my brother's house in Austin for Christmas. So he'll be there. I mean, like, we're still really, really close. But I opened up my store in Waco, like, all the guys and all the athletes come back all the time and say, hey. And so it's really cool to see them. I love doing it. It doesn't matter if it's like women's tennis, softball, football. Like, it was a really good time. So
outstanding.
Yeah, so she tells you to do something, you better do it, or you're not gonna win your
when
game, boy.
Internally at the company, we're like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's just because I'll yell if you don't. That's do
Arnold
it this way because I
Schwarzenegger.
said so. I'm trying to help you.
Now.
I don't have time to explain it.
Get in.
They're like
let's
all
go.
my kids. Like, do as I say, not as I do. Go.
Stop whining.
Mhm.
So
Exactly. Anyways,
WTF
moving
news of the
on.
day,
Yeah,
shall
moving
we?
on.
Let's do
So-
WTF, guys.
People are
Discord,
complaining
right?
about the cold right now, but some people in Florida recently were complaining about their freaking power going out because of iguanas taking out their power. No joke.
Ooh.
Look at this.
What they do?
Lake Worth Beach, Florida. Iguanas were literally knocking their power out. They were
It's like squirrels
Just
in
falling out
Texas.
of the
Yeah.
tree.
getting outage like crazy because of iguanas just laying on power lines and knocking them out.
How they blow? Have you seen those explosions? I witnessed one.
Transformers. It's like a bomb.
Yeah, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
I witnessed one. I was driving in Dallas on Plano Parkway, Plano, heading, and I see the squirrel jump onto this transformer. I don't know what the hell he did, but it was like the sun just lit up. Like my wife and I, we couldn't see what the hell happened. We knew the whole neighborhood was gone, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
squirrel nowhere to be seen. Like he passed God. He like went.
Barbecue
fast.
iguana with this.
It kills me when I see that in movies. Like when they'll take like a wrench to the transformer. I'm like, cool, yeah, just 3 million watts. Yeah, go ahead and touch it with the wrench. You'd be in any other county if you did that.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. Like
Yeah,
that
they're no
actually,
joke.
like,
Well,
makes
you
me
wouldn't be anywhere near the county. Your heart would just stop and you'd be dead.
No, you're
So-
dust. You actually, you're gone.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you completely evaporate. If
Yeah.
they've like when I used to be a cop for a long time, and we would get reports of that, like that a worker was working on a transformer, and they're like, the police still have to go work every single death to determine if it's foul play or not. But when we get called to those, there is no body. There's nothing there. There's absolutely zero. They vaporize completely. I've
Yeah.
seen it or not seen it.
What,
I
it
guess, depending on how
just
you look at it.
evaporates their blood?
It's
And then
ash-
they
Everything.
anything with
Everything. There's
liquid
like
in there.
nothing left. Zero.
Oh.
It's
So
that
cartoons are
powerful.
right. No kidding.
It's that powerful. It really does happen.
Yeah.
So like
They-
Wile E. Coyote being like, and then he just like turns into dust. Like that's
Pretty
not
much.
joking.
It had
Yeah,
to happen
pretty
in real
much.
life for them to draw it like that.
Whoa.
When they get the full brunt of it, there's nothing there.
I worked with a guy that worked in electric, then moved to fiber. And I said, dude, you can earn so much more. He says, no, I was there when I saw one of my buddies working on the power lines, those really tall ones. And he literally just disappeared, like shreds of clothes and maybe the sole of the shoe, just came down. But after
Maybe
that,
gets left.
Yeah.
You vaporize.
Jesus.
Well,
So think about it,
Yeah.
Mr. Iguana. Don't do this again.
yeah, no, and there's to take care of it. There's a whole bunch of groups of people with airsoft rifles doing open season. It's just like the boars in Texas, like it's open season on boars all the time because
Squirrels.
these boars will just come
Yeah.
and rip people's property up for no good
Mhm.
reason. So people are just sniping iguanas left and right to take care of the city. No kidding.
From what I understand, you can eat them too. Like apparently,
Yeah.
it's like alligator in Louisiana. You could just
Yes.
eat it if you know how to cook it right.
Tastes like
That's
chicken,
weird.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's true. And with the cultural diversity of Florida, I guarantee you,
Oh, yeah.
there's some people that came over that know how to cook that and cook it well. Cook it really
Absolutely.
well.
Dude.
I would eat it. It's probably
Yeah.
all white meat. I'd eat it.
Yeah. Alex says
It-
they kill hogs 24/7 in Florida. Texas, same thing.
Oh yeah.
They make it a
Nonstop.
sport of it.
Yeah. Coyotes, feral pigs,
Yeah.
squirrels, pretty much
Squirrel.
fair game in Texas. There's
Yeah.
so many. They're a problem. They absolutely destroy your land. And you're like, oh, that's so mean. I'd never do that. Tell me that about a squirrel when your power goes out or your internet goes out and you really need it. Tell me that about a hog when it's your land that they have completely uprooted and destroyed. And then you're going to look at it and be like, kill all the hogs. Kill them all. You will. And coyotes
Right.
too. They came in, they killed all of your whatever, your kittens, your puppies, your chickens, whatever you had that you love. Let me know how you feel about coyotes after it happens to you.
Well, and that's something interesting too. Santa, he's focusing on like how he can become more energy efficient. He found a way to take these iguanas from Florida, crush them into an oil, and actually be able to burn them for fuel. So pretty interesting. Thanks to Florida for supporting Santa's efforts.
All right.
So
Yeah,
crushing
I know.
iguanas. Okay.
So let's talk SBF nonsense. We
Oh, the
I
girl
don't
flips on him.
particularly love talking about this because it's just ongoing, and I think this dude loves the attention. But I do think it's relevant because a lot of this is unfortunately the catalyst shaping a lot of the policy and public opinion on the space. So that's why we bother talking about it, right? That being said, Jaime, I know you brought this to my attention earlier, but Gary Gensler and the SEC had more meetings with SBF and FTX than anyone else in crypto, allegedly to craft a special regulatory framework designed to benefit FTX alone. Making backroom regulatory deals with bad actors is not a tool in the SEC's toolbox. So, you want to talk about that, Jaime? You're on mute, my guy.
There you are. Sorry, I had a video running of a squirrel exploding, but yeah.
It was, yeah.
So yes, we've mentioned this in the past, how Gary actually had private meetings with, and what irks me about it, not the meeting itself, the fact that they were giving him the chance and the time to formulate this regulatory release and the control of the crypto market under FTX's hands. Meanwhile, everyone else that's trying to do like Grayscale, Bitcoin, Coinbase, reaching out to SEC to comply with the laws, they're the ones getting threatened with lawsuits, threatened with, be shut down for trying to do the right thing. So now all of a sudden, Gary says, I have more tools. We're going to keep going after this, almost like cleansing himself off of this whole bed situation. So now I love the fact that Tom Emmer, representative, is mentioning, hey, we see what you've been doing and we see what's been going on. So what you were doing is not one of the tools you should be using. So it's calling out precisely what we were complaining about months ago on how this was being negotiated. So go ahead, Tam.
Yeah, I hope, I really do hope Gensler's back is against a wall on this, because we all know it is a proven fact that we all know that Gensler is tied to SBF and his parents through former gigs at other places and bosses type of deal. There absolutely is I'm not going to call it a friendship, but there is an association there. They know each other. They did not just meet. It's not like these are independent, unbiased parties, that had just come together. And when there's this much backroom, kind of nepotism type stuff going on, you have to squash it in the public eye completely, or you risk losing complete confidence across the board for whatever alphabet soup organization you work for in the government. So if they don't do this right, I mean, the sentiment, even people who don't give a damn about crypto, you can call it a Ponzi, you call it whatever you want. When you look at what's happening with blatant fraud and how SBF is basically just being coddled in all this, if you don't crush all that, and all the players inside of politics who were associated with it, received money from it, knew about it, didn't say anything, you're risking a much, much larger revolt, if you will, against a population who might not even give a damn about cryptocurrency. So you have to do something here. I really do hope that this plays out to where people get more than just their hands slapped. I don't have complete confidence in that, but I do hope it turns out that way.
In general, the justice system, in my opinion, in America needs to actually have some teeth, because there's the general populace is losing confidence that people even know how to make the right decision. Like they're consistently bipartisan. We see people just doing things in their own interests, betraying to properly represent their constituents,
for the people, by the people. Gone.
Improperly representing the Constitution they swore an oath to. Like, what ought to happen if we catch someone red-handed knowingly doing something unconstitutionally after they swear an oath? Like if does that not mean anything anymore? I don't know. I can't answer that question, but I am fascinated to see we the people pay attention to that and really start to hold people's feet to flame and say, hey, like, you swore an oath, dude. Like, we voted for you. You swore an oath, and you're supposed to represent our ideas and guide them through constitutional application, and you're doing neither.
Yep.
You get to keep your job. You get to get a cushy, stack of freshly printed bills. Is this how this whole thing works? It does.
Yeah.
And you can see that the pressure's taking off with the SEC, because you also have this announcement where the SEC general counsel quits. And this was on December 23rd, today, announced, where he had been to the dinners with SBF as part of the SEC in meetings. And it shows that even he is jumping. General Counsel Dan Berkovich said that he was leaving the agency on January 31st, according to this report. And of course, he speaks of it in these terms, but someone else called out where it says connections with FTX revealed by public trust, regular wine and dine by SBF and FTX out at the SEC. So it shows that there's been these relationships. So for other auditors in the government to highlight, hey, and there's these back room, not public, but thankfully it's on record that there are some shenanigans that need to be clarified on. Okay, what's going on here, and why is he focusing, let's say, even on the Kardashians, doing a video specific to her? On, I'm not saying she didn't do anything wrong, but grab a
That's
hammer.
the lowest hanging fruit. Leave Kim Kardashian out of this. What the hell is that?
Right. Focus on the if he had his eyes open and his organization had his eyes open, they would have caught this. They would have asked for an audit. We're looking to do funds as a company, our owner company, And we know we have to go to the SEC, show audits, everything has to be audited. So how the hell did SBF pass all this scam that now we clearly see commingling and everything else without the audit with the SEC? It's like we know the process is there. This is concerning, actually. There is no fiduciary responsibility if Gary stays on after all this. I'd be very surprised. There's something afoot there that is going to affect us all, not just the crypto industry.
Well, a guy like that has probably pissed off one or two of the wrong people, so to speak, in the political arena that are going to take this and run with it and try to get their just dues in this situation. So I hope they come out right, because I could do without Gensler for sure. But this is just adds to the whole saga. I mean, SBF he goes to the Bahamas when all this goes down, relaxes in his $40 million penthouse out there. Finally does get arrested and thrown, in my opinion, a very appropriate prison for his ass, full of reported maggots and mice and all this other stuff. Good. I don't want to go to
More
the
protein.
US. I'm going to stay in my penthouse until your ass goes to jail. Then you want to get extradited to the US. You do, in fact, get extradited to the US. And now he was granted bail. He was granted bail now at his parents' house in California. He posted a $250 million bail secured by his parents' residence, both his parents' signatures, and apparently one or two other very high net worth individuals that have been unnamed. But now you get to go home in your, supposedly $250 million California house wearing an ankle monitor. So this guy just got grounded again. He's not in trouble. I mean, he's not
grounded.
You're grounded
To mommy and
again.
daddy's house.
Yeah, largest financial fraud in all of history, and you're grounded again. I mean, that's all it is, hand slap. So I mean, head's got to roll on this big time.
Absolutely. And it feels like if he gets to spend Hanukkah or Christmas with family, meanwhile, everyone else who was an investor and trusted this guy and his company to not commingle, in other words, follow the law. Now,
Even buy a
everyone else
turkey.
can't.
It's pool orgy miss, actually. That's the
Man, it's just
holiday
it's
he celebrates.
It's a bad look. It is a bad look. Man.
Yeah. And then you have others like Kevin O'Leary and the others, like Bergtown Music Group mentioned. It's like, I'd
Screw
still
Mr.
invest in
Wonderful, his bitch
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah, and the
Screw
fact
that
that
guy.
you would even say, I'll invest in someone that has failed. Yeah, I agree with the principle. But this guy, and with
If that's the case, then, and everybody's like, yeah, then you better start loving Trump too. I mean, like, let's call a spade a spade. You want somebody who went bankrupt and then turned into something awesome, like the true American dream is? Is that not more the American dream than anything? Is that you work towards something you believe in, you lose it all, you basically are living in your car, and then you fight your way back to make, great corporations and
Yep.
Employ thousands of people and entertain people, everything else? Is that not the ultimate American dream? Don't just hold that for one person you like. You better put that across the board. If that's the dream, then it's the dream, like, come on.
Yeah, and
So,
even Kevin
O'Leary's a bitch.
Does no one know where this guy lives?
He lives at his parents' house right now.
It's
Yeah, I'm saying, like, there's not a single. What's the security detail on this guy right now? Not a single crazy person out there wants to track him down, show up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people are locked
I
in.
agree wholeheartedly. I mean, he's been getting death threats apparently, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Look at him. It's
Interesting.
pretty frustrating, but we'll see how deep the rabbit hole goes. But like everything else that could be a rabbit hole with this administration or others, it's going to get covered up. I mean, it is what it is. Like, things just mysteriously disappear, when it comes to things like this. And I hope it's not the case, but I just don't have real high hopes.
yeah, it's oof.
Yep.
And
There's a
I'm
lot of
trying to
whining
find-
and dining here for sure.
Yeah.
absolutely.
But the problem is that, like, this guy, while before the collapse, was paying all these people who are now in charge of supposedly prosecuting him. I mean, that's the biggest problem, is how do you find somebody in the right position that's hasn't been touched, by FTX, a donation or a come to my penthouse or whatever, that can truly be, objective on this situation. It's hard. I mean, this guy had reach before the collapse and used it big time. He bought real estate. He bought political clout. That's what he bought with your money. And now he's not paying for it at all right now. It's working in his favor right now. Oh, you had to spend 10 days in a jail in the Bahamas. Big whoop. Yeah. Big whoop. That's the hardest part this guy's gone through.
And God knows. So yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the concern overall, because if this is just one example of what's transpired, of course, it's got quite a bit of attention because it's affecting an entire industry that we understand and we know what it means towards the future. It's the next iteration of the internet, which involves money and value and security, and yet is just being used as it's like a grand setup that imploded before all the pieces fell into place. So what's going to happen with this? With him, he's just the fall guy or the face to do this. But I don't think he's going to really pay for it as he should, or at least make families whole somehow.
No way.
Yeah. And so that's a good segue though. This whole situation is happening because people are not practicing self-custody, right? The whole entire crypto industry has its core value in its distinction. It's made distinctive from other industries because we are in self-custody. You have the ability to hold your own keys, and if you're holding your own keys, then other people aren't gatekeeping you. There's no middleman saying that you can't send this money to this other person. Sorry, your bank account doesn't work that way. Sorry, we canceled your credit card, your debit card. Like, those types of things don't happen with a blockchain because it has no opinions, right? And so if you haven't done this so far, January is a crypto holiday where everyone moves their money off of the exchanges just to make sure in an event called Proof of Keys. And the purpose of that is to hold exchanges accountable and to make sure that they really do have the ability to give people their cryptocurrency if asked, right? And so, accordingly, we are always looking for how we can support our community and make sure that they get the right equipment. So I wanted to talk about Ledger. We have a link in our description if you want to support our channel and get something directly from Ledger. But Ledger recently launched a new wallet, Ledger Stacks, and for it's more expensive, but this literally has a touchscreen. You're not pushing the little buttons on the on the top right here and here, to scroll through this nice little LED menu. There's actually a really nice touchscreen. It does support wireless charging. It's Bluetooth. So I can see this becoming really standard. And if you're interested in getting one of those, they are available on pre-order now for $280.
How big is it? Can you click on that? Does it give the stats?
Yeah.
It's small.
Yeah, I think
pretty
it's credit
sweet.
card size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a touch screen. It's easier to manage.
I'm going to for sure be
Yeah, it
getting
is
one
pretty sweet.
off the bat.
It is.
And it will
Yeah,
not
I can
connect
figure
to the internet. Like it only works via Bluetooth with your phone, so it's air gapped.
Yeah, local
So you
area
gotta break
network
it
ad hoc.
down.
Mm-hmm.
You got to rob my phone, my
Mhm.
facial ID, and my new Ledger.
Exactly.
Credit card touchscreen.
Yep.
So you separate
Yeah,
all the
dirty
pieces.
shovel gang. You got to face
Yep.
my wrath.
And again, like just so everybody knows, all a Ledger device is a two-factor authentication or a 2FA device. So you do everything on the blockchain. You tell the blockchain what to do. And once you execute a desire, so to speak, then whatever ledger you have will simply pop up to whatever wallet it's connected to and say, hey, this wallet is wanting to move, receive, update, whatever. Do you approve it or reject it? That's all the ledger does. And then you hit either yes, allow, or no, deny. That's all it is. So it doesn't hold your coins. It doesn't hold your key, like none of that. It just says yes or no.
Technically, they're hardware
that,
security machines. It's an HSM, which is the same as what Boeing and Lockheed Martin use to get into their machines. It has private keys on it to get into its full database, and it encrypts every bit of data that's on it. But the data that's on it is your private keys. But you have to enter a totally separate private key that only exists on that specific device to get into it.
Right.
And so, they're the most secure way for you to manage multiple crypto accounts and make sure that you're not going to get pwned because someone was able to grab a file. There's no network connectivity to this. It's a technical term, properly owned. And so like when you are using this, you can rest assured that however you're transacting your cryptocurrency, it's doing whatever you're agreeing to. So these things are just under 4 inches diagonal. So, and they use e-ink. That's a new technology that is kind of like what the first Kindles were, where it kind of impresses on the screen, but this is a color e-ink.
Yeah,
super rad. It's like Harry Potter.
Which, it's crazy, and I know, Brandon, this is going to get into excuse me, the coins of yesteryear, but from what I understand, this new ledger, in a bit of a slap in the face, left off Litecoin availability. Like, I don't think you can hold Litecoin on this new one, which is crazy because
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure because the Litecoin community was pretty upset about it. Understandably, and like, I'm not going to go into whether or not you should buy Litecoin. I've bought it before. I do not own any now because I know more now than I did back then. But
and you actually
Litecoin,
met the founder.
Oh yeah,
Lunch with
you
him.
met and talked to Charlie Lee, and but the thing is, like, Litecoin's always been Bitcoin's sidekick since day one, and there's something to be said for that loyalty, like, but in the same breath, like, you got to hold your own. Like, you can be my partner and my right hand, my wingman, my day one, my ride or die, whatever you want to say. You can be that, but you also have to pull your weight, right? Like, that's any marriage or business partnership or anything. Like I'm not just going to float you, right? Like, you have to bring 50% to this so that we can thrive together. So in that respect, it is a little bit of a slap in the face to Litecoin that this was left off, because everybody knows through marketing, Litecoin is digital silver to Bitcoin's gold. That's what everybody into the space is told and how it's branded. So it's a little strange to see Litecoin left off of the stacks.
And Litecoin served its purpose as
it has.
They called it like the crash test dummy of Bitcoin. So there's certain technologies or protocols or amendments that were trialed in Litecoin before it was released to Bitcoin. So
yeah. Litecoin's more useful than a huge amount of coins that are out there. I'm not saying it's useful enough for me to own it, but like, whenever I want to move money around through an exchange or something else, I typically use Litecoin. It has fast,
high volume.
It's cheap. Yeah, it's fast, it's cheap, it's reliable, it's relatively stable, in whatever given market it is. So I use Litecoin in that regard, where I wouldn't use a lot of other coins that are available.
Absolutely. And Alex, you're hitting on a good point where it says, I see games using crypto, but they hold you inside of their blockchain and you can't get assist out into other blockchains. Well, there's games being developed to use specifically blockchain as internal currency, where you could actually sell it out in the open market. I remember as a kid, I was like, man, I wish I could take these tokens I earned and buy something. Well, it's going to become a reality. And these ledgers are places where you will be able to store them. It's just building it correctly with a supported blockchain, not your own internal shit that no one will use. That's a shitcoin to me.
Right. Yeah, and here's what's really cool. They do come in packs. Like, if you want to get these as cheap as possible and just make sure your whole family has the hookup, there are these family packs that you can get like 3 of them, and that's a pretty good idea. Like, I don't know.
Get 2 minimum. Get 2.
Yeah, I don't know how that could, possibly start conversations in your family. I'm sure if, like, I gave my uncle a ledger, he'd be, pointing in his brothers' faces, and they'd be all like, how come Uncle Jerry's the favorite? He gets the Bitcoin. I have to stick here with my crappy fiat Grandma gave me in my $20 card.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say get 2 is, and I'm speaking from experience, this has happened to me. Yep. You don't want to have just one and something happen to it, whether it break, you lose it, anything in between. And now you're in complete limbo. You have no idea where your stuff is. You're freaking out. You're like, I didn't do all my due diligence beforehand, and now I'm up shit creek. You don't want to have to go order a new ledger, wait for that ledger to come in, do all your keys, do all this stuff while you're freaking out. You don't want to do that. I've been in there. So what you want to do is you always want to have two ledgers. You have the ledger that you typically use, and then you have a backup that's ready to go in a safe or somewhere you feel is secure. So if something ever happens to ledger number 1, you go straight to your backup, and you should be able to recover everything right then and there with minimal freak out time, because you will freak out. Everybody's like, if a robber ever came in my house, I'd just take out my gun and shoot him, until a robber's in your house, and then you don't even remember which way is up or down because you're freaking out. That's just reality. And so you do not want to be in freak out mode with any sort of value on a ledger and not have a backup. So always have a backup to minimize that, because it will happen. It happened to me when I was 1,500 miles away and I was completely losing my mind. So
if you want to be really smart, keep your ledger that you would give to a robber at gunpoint in a different safe. Keep fake seed words right there so they feel like you really gave it to them, and then they get the hell out of there. They don't got crap.
And it's time to run.
Yeah, I love when people are like that. Yeah, somebody best not want to break into my house. I'll whoop that ass, until 3 guys.
It's already
come to your
shovel gang.
front
That's
door.
how we roll.
Yeah.
Right.
You better practice that. Otherwise, you're going to pee your pants and drop your gun. That's what's going to happen in all reality.
No, they're not going to get to their gun because they're stupid. They
Yeah,
think
they
going to the
forget
gun
about the gun.
range. They think going to the gun range is their practice.
Yeah. Hold on. I need to load it.
Yeah.
Shit wasn't even
Hang
loaded
on.
right. Like,
Yeah.
you will not do anything of the sort. You will freak out
Yeah.
unless you are trained to do it. Unless you,
Yeah.
have practiced that repetition, you will shit your pants. That is what
Mhm.
will happen. Not me. I'm badass. I can
Yeah.
bench 315. It doesn't freaking matter
Yeah.
at all. It's all about this.
You bench
Keep
that
in
person
mind-
in
You're
the
avoiding.
casket.
Yeah.
Thunderwear
That
is
what you're
underwear
avoiding.
that's fun to wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what SBF was using to get funds out of Alameda. Ledger in there, and you can fit it into tight spaces. So
Damn,
yeah.
you sick puppy.
Now keep in mind
reality,
too, even if your ledger gets lost, you do have the ability to not worry about, because you have to enter a PIN number on that ledger. If someone doesn't know the PIN, it's bricked, it's worthless. You have to actually know your 12 seeds or your 24 seeds, and you can put those seed words into a brand new fresh ledger you get, and it reactivates your whole account. Everything's encrypted properly locally again.
so it's a tool.
Shout out to photography.
Yep,
It's a
it
tool,
is.
truly, guys. So if you're ever in a situation where they're asking for it, just hand it over, and like the smart way that Brandon mentioned. But the keywords are the key here. Just buy another one, and your whole account is restored. This tool just to actually sign the transaction for the movement, but your tokens or your Bitcoin is actually on the blockchain. The ledger is just the key, the ignition to turn it, to create that, authorize a transaction.
Right.
Yep.
So
But-
Yeah.
remember,
Everyone has public keys, but private key is what says I control this account. If you don't have the private key on the blockchain, then you're not able to make any changes on that account, meaning like you can't send that money to another wallet unless you have the private keys in the application. And that's what this allows you to do easily and securely.
Yep. And you always want to practice worst case scenario, because then if that happens, you'll likely be pleasantly surprised at the outcome. So every January, like Brandon mentioned, is like, your keys January. Every single January, I go through my little worst case scenario, because I've been freaked out with a ledger loss before or a ledger malfunction. I just went to use my ledger one day and it reset itself. And apparently it was a thing with a Windows update. When you updated Windows, it did something with the, files and just reset your ledger. And I was 1,500 miles away from, where I keep my other ledger, and I was absolutely spazzing out. So everything ended up being fine. But every January, I make sure that I can transfer everything to a different ledger. My keywords are right. I know where my second ledger is. The second ledger is activated. So that way, in worst case scenario, I am calm, and I've been here and I've done that, and I can actually execute under immense stress or distraction. Right. So it's really, really important, because people are like, I have all this wealth, until something happens that jeopardizes that. And then if you can't recover it, you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. It's there on the blockchain. You can't access it. So it is very, very important that we not only have this and we continue to DCA and we continue to keep all these coins and do what we're, talking about doing and what we practice. All that means nothing if you can't plan for worst case scenario. Because if worst case scenario happens and you're not schooled and ready to recover it, then it's all for naught. And so we want to always be prepared for worst case scenario. We do not want to see you get pwned. We don't. So, we're here to help, and this is part of it. And this is just things you have to do. It's part of sovereignty. It's part of ownership. It's part of responsibility is preparing properly for worst case scenario.
Absolutely. Tam.
And if anyone ever asks you for your private keys, tell them to kick rocks. Do not give anybody your private keys. If you give them your private keys because they're trying to help, you just gave them everything you own.
You gave them your gold bars. You gave them your stuff at that
Don't
moment.
do it.
Someone asked in the chat, do you guys have gold bars in your house?
I have gold Bitcoins, like physical ones.
I have like 2 little coins.
I do have some metals, but not at the house. I mean, where's your target? It's at your house. So find a place where it's not easily accessible.
Yeah, I keep it buried underneath a homeless shelter. So
Why do people? I guess what's the reason for having a gold bar at your house other than you want to play pirate one day and have like a pirate chest?
playing pirate today.
Well, self-custody, I would say, is one of the thought processes. Some people just can't go. I got to go pet it. Yes, it's here. This is my future. Precious.
The only reason I have it is it was part of inheritance. Like it was left to me, and I just have it, and I don't want to sell it because I'm sentimental about it. But do I value it more than my digital Bitcoin? No, I don't. But I know it does have value. It's there. It's valuable. If the shit hit the fan, I do have it and would use it if needed. But
it's a hedge.
I have it because I have it.
Absolutely. So I believe in diversification. So gold, silver, and any other commodity that can retain value in a crisis. I dabble into it, of course. But
if the world does break down, though, and if civil society were to break down, gold bars are not what people want. Bullets and food is what people want, and
damn right, water.
And
everything costs 1 bullet in that
it
scenario.
Sure does.
And what are they going to be after? The gold and everything else, because that's what you need to rebuild after the whole crisis. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right, Brandon. But you run into ammo, the same thing you run into precious metals is it's hard to move. And you're like, well, just because it's heavy as shit. I mean, I have ammo cans full of, like 5.56 and AR and 9s, and I have full of them. I find myself relatively strong. That stuff is heavy. I'm not toting that for blocks and blocks and blocks. Well, I'll just throw it in my car and go wherever. Well, now you need gas. And if, that could be really expensive or impossible to get, because everything's, it just
practicality.
It's hard. Yeah. I mean, but you are right.
40 millimeters.
Crypto.
I think I have, I bet you I have 35 to 40 metal AR mags totally loaded, ready to go. Like ding, 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 ding. I mean, just stacked up in the same.
Do you release the
Stop calling them clips. They're magazines.
They're not clips. They're magazines.
Clip was M1. They don't exist in
clips
other
are Hollywood.
guns.
Yeah.
Do you rotate?
There is a time and a place. Yeah. Do what?
Do you ever just relieve the springs, or you just leave them stacked?
No, not in the metal ones. In the plastic polymer ones, I will only load it to like 28 instead of 30 rounds, just for that spring. But that's mainly been fixed. That's kind of a days of old problem. If you have the metal ones though, put 30 in them. They'll last longer than you, just like that. Perfectly fine. Yeah. Perfectly
Having 40
fine.
millimeters.
Yeah.
Do what? No, I don't
have
have any 40 mils.
40 millimeters.
I have buddies that have that. It's just, it's cool, but it's
but
just
you
not
want
the
the
most
easily
practical
available
thing.
one. You don't want to have the exotics in a crisis. You want the easily
exactly.
available.
Ammo's hard and heavy. I mean, for shit hits the fan, you have a couple sidearms, you have ARs. I have ARs with multiple links. I have ARs that are really, really short, which are great for trying to clear houses. And then you have longer ones for longer shots with like a 4x scope on it, just enough, for practical purposes.
That's the 10.
Mid-range, yeah.
Yeah. But, I have my other stuff too. I have my blackouts and everything else. But I'm going to stop talking about it. Somebody's going to
cook the deer at the same time.
Yeah. Well, That was a lovely discussion. I think it's useful. People are well informed of what they can be doing and should be doing, just to make sure that this is all not screwing them in the end because their operational security is bad. But I wanted to talk about other bear markets, because we've been through other bear markets before, and I know a lot of people have not been through a bear market. This is their first one, and a lot of people are kind of asking the question, like, hey, what the hell is happening? Like, is crypto okay? Is this going to shake out? How's this going to work? Well, I figured, we'd go through coins of crypto past and look at previous bear markets around this time, around Christmas time, and see where they were at. And so this is the Wayback Machine in December of 2016. And this is right when I first...
blow it up real big.
Before we kick this off, have any of the excuses changed?
No.
We're in a bear market. Is it all the same excuses? Just to check that box. Crypto's dead. Scam. Well, all the same. Yeah. All the ones we're hearing now, are they any different from back then?
No. There's some different players in the game, but that's it. Yeah. That's it. It's all the same thing.
And Don, we've had that discussion of show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. Literally, we were speaking of this drop or bear market as before it actually happened, but it's because the big question is, what is the trigger? Like SBF FTX imploding, I did not expect that as a trigger, and yet there it goes. But the symptoms that you're mentioning, like Bitcoin is dead and all that is dead, there it is. Thank you, SBF and FTX, as one of the triggers. Thank you, governmental leaders, as creating that trigger. But the excuses are usually the same. I knew this was a Ponzi. I knew this was a scam. And that doesn't change.
Yeah, and it goes back to the halving chart that we spoke about at the beginning. Like, it's not that it's an up-only chart. There's ups and downs, but the downs is just news. Whether the news is Mt. Gox, SBF, possible regulation. China's always the news. China's shutting down this or banning that. That's on and off ramps, hacks. All these things have been happening since day one. Now, specific topics, we don't know. Like, we didn't know it was going to be FTX, but we knew it was going to be news. But I mean, you pull back far enough, and Jaime shows it almost every single stream, the boxes stay in the same place. The halving chart works as far as Bitcoin's fundamentals are concerned. That is why that chart is reliable to me, despite such a small sample size. The fundamental of Bitcoin is simply supply and demand. Period. Full stop. End of story. It is a supply and demand issue. And if you pull back far enough, you can chart that. Now, some of the drops between what's on the screen, between the red and green highlighted boxes, that's just news that you're not going to probably be able to pinpoint or predict. But overall, you can chart the whole point and economic setup of Bitcoin, not just the news and price action. That is, for the birds.
Absolutely. So we know the season we're in, and 'tis the season to start DCAing. One of our commenters said DCA all the way. Yes, that's a great way to enter. But also, if you have certain bag, you're like, I've been saving up to do a nice buy. Well, if you know when the buy season is, just like deer season and planting season, you start moving in that, you start adding to your bags at that point. And then when you know when hunting season or cash out season is, you could start moving out, plan your taxes and just get out, and then buy in the next planting season. So this is possible. And if you notice, it's uncanny. It's not precise timing. Like, we had a double top right before and then a double top right afterwards, not precisely where it needs to be, but you noted, or this price action we had up to the previous bull market. It did not follow the gray line, the median, perfectly, but yes, overall in terms of seasonality. So it is predictable, guys.
Yeah, but since most of your followers aren't traders, you can literally, you guys say it at the end of every stream, just keep calm and keep buying, right? Use this to your advantage. You'll buy a little bit more on the low side and buy a little bit less on the upside. It'll keep you weighted down quite a bit.
Boom.
You'll get much better buys.
Boom. It's just a lot of people aren't that discipline to do it, though. It is scary when you're at the top in those red boxes on this chart on the screen. It is scary to sell off some of your Bitcoin or whatever you have and then have to wait. What's a long time? There's a long time between these red and green boxes, and then just sit on that and not FOMO or freak out because of FUD and buy back in or something like that. To sell what you have at the top and then wait until you get to a green box toward the bottom and then buy back and essentially most likely double your bag. That takes a lot of discipline and a lot of emotional stoicism. It's hard to do, which is why a lot of people shouldn't do it, because they'll screw it up. Just buy it, hold it. Yeah, you're going to hold it through the lows, and that sucks, but you would have otherwise lost it because you're not emotionally, stoic enough to hold it. Just hold it and wait till it goes back up high. And when you're ready to sell it, then you'll sell it at that point. But that's why we say that.
I actually learned this, Tam, out of my own experience, because I dabbled in trading, then realized if I would have just fucking held, I'd be in a better position, because I didn't actually fully understand it. So by doing these long-term ones, I actually can move in and I'll focus on raising my kids and whatever we're building. Meanwhile, this happens. And we've had those conversations where I was mentioning of the incoming drop that was coming, because I knew the season was here for that drop. So I started stepping out into the others. So, but started identifying, which is what we're about to do with the coins of the past. So we're going to show our audience what happened in the past with certain tokens and the outcome and what we can repeat. So it's a repeatable process of decision making, of when to enter, what to enter, just like traditional markets that Don dominates with these zones, buy zones, and sell zones.
Yeah. So how would you like these Bitcoin prices, though, in December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2016, Bitcoin was $897 a coin. Yeah. Like, people are drooling over those numbers, but back then that wasn't such an impressive number. So Ethereum, $7.36, Ripple Nipple at whatever dust it
Less
always
than a
is.
penny. Yeah.
Well, it's still kind of that's how it kind of works. And yet still 80% of it is owned by Ripple, the company. Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Litecoin, $4.57, and Monero was rocking and rolling. Monero is awesome to mine in this pocket of time.
You can mine it anywhere.
$9.53.
Yep.
People were mining Monero with CPUs, but also with the AMD Vega cards. Those Vega cards were like the go-to Monero miner for the time. Yeah. And then Ethereum Classic was pretty newly minted. It wasn't didn't have very long history in 2016. $1.10. And then we have Dash at $9.95. But has anyone recently heard of Made Safe Coin?
Nope.
Well, it was number 8. I've actually done some homework on them. They're still active, but they aren't particularly high on the coin market cap. Steam, this was a Facebook competitor that was on the blockchain. You were supposed to be able to earn Steam coins for posting social media content. Pretty cool idea, but no one really used it. And some people who did use it were kind of mining it. They were like botnetting it to try to harvest as many coins as they could. Surprise, surprise. And then we have Dogecoin. So my point in all of this is we do have some coins on here that, like Ikonami, Augur, Steam, Made Safe. Are people like freaking out about these today?
I remember all these, every single one.
Yeah.
Dash was a big deal. Dash used to be a really big deal.
Yes.
And really, out of this list, Brandon, if you go back to number 1, the only ones that are halfway relevant today, scroll up just like top 10. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin. Oh no, where'd it go?
It's gone.
Which one are you looking for?
Gone. Monero. And really, that's it. I mean, I'm not saying you should buy those, but they're out of this whole list, the only ones that you would hear about today, if you were just coming into crypto, the only ones you would likely hear about are those top 5. I mean, you might hear about Ethereum Classic, but that's headed down. Dash is gone. Made Safe Coin, Steam, Neem, Augur. I mean, all that is that's MIA.
The only time I hear about Ethereum Classic is from people that are bag holding it, asking me, do I think it'll come back?
No,
And they're just slowly like dwindling away.
yeah, it was one of those things where you had the right intention, it just never materialized, like in the business world, so to speak. That is a fork of the original Ethereum blockchain. That's what.
Well,
Ethereum
it technically is the original Ethereum blockchain.
Exactly, that's what it was supposed to be.
ETH is technically the fork where
Mhm.
the DAO hack, all that Vitalik nonsense. But this is today though, $16,000, almost $17,000 per Bitcoin, and back then it was, almost 900. So if you were to have just bought coins in 2016, at the end of 2016, and held till now, you'd be sitting in a good spot, even in a bear market. That's the point.
Can you blow that
So
up
when
a
we're
little,
in
Brandon?
bear markets,
Can you blow that list up a little? Yeah, thank you.
just like that guy at the Home Depot bathroom. There you go.
Sorry, it just eyeballing. Because I knew we were going to talk about this today, but I didn't look at any of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got stable
Binance wasn't
coins in
even
here.
on the map in 16.
Yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Yeah. If we were to look up MadeSafe coin, which was a hot one, I just wonder if it even shows up here. No,
It's
doesn't
even
even show up on the front page. Yeah.
Let's see where it's at.
MadeSafe. I'm sure we could search it. Let's see if MadeSafe is still
What's
around.
the symbol, Brendan?
What's that?
Oh, there it is. MadeSafe coin. I found it.
What's it ranking?
Bittrex. Let me plot it.
Yeah. If you want to hunt that one down, and then you can steal the screen.
So here's MadeSafe. Made USD. So let me move it to the weekly where it's easier to watch. There we go. It's actually not. What does this look like, Don? A shit coin, or if you just looked at it blank? What's your opinion here?
What's the price on it?
It is now 13 cents. And someone's got a blender going.
I was saying, someone blow drying their hair.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
Go ahead and mute me, please.
It looks like
you
a
have to dry that one
IPO.
off.
Brand new IPO or a gap down.
Yeah, I mean, it actually tried to pump at 13 cents. How much was it back then, Brendan?
Oh, look at the volume.
Yeah,
on that.
MadeSafe was 10 cents.
Okay, so we're back to where it was a few Christmases ago.
Yeah. So I think it's important to note where the bottoms are from previous bottoms, because if there you go, Tam. If previous bottoms were low and we're still at a bottom and it's much higher, there's actually real adoption and utility in that coin. People are actually using it, right? And this is just 2016. If you were to go to 2017, you'd see the same thing, only for the whole ICO craze, right? We've talked about how in 2017 we saw the ICOs and how similar that is to the whole way the introduction of NFTs was treated as well. And NFTs themselves are not scams. NFTs themselves are a certificate of authenticity. So if you have a certificate of authenticity of someone's dog poop, of course it's not very valuable. It's a certificate of authenticity for dog poop, right? But if you have a certificate of authenticity on a blockchain for a car pink slip, for example, and that's actually honored in that way, that actually is valuable because it's honored accordingly, and the asset it's certifying is a real world asset that's valuable, right?
Yep. We talk about NFTs.
So quit
a lot
buying
these
dog
days.
poop NFTs.
Yeah, NFTs right now today, if you're explaining it to somebody, are best understood, I think, through loyalty points. That's basically what it is. That's the best use case. Brandon, I think you're right on saying that NFTs are a certificate of authenticity. Absolutely, that's what they are. Well, okay, what does that mean? How do I use it? Right now, loyalty points. Think of it like that. So it's a digitized proof that you bought however many times at Starbucks or whatever, and you're on your way to getting a free cup of coffee. That's what an NFT can do for you right now. And that technology is awesome. When it's verifiable, it is unique to you. It cannot be manipulated. That's powerful right there. But whether or not it has value, like Brandon was saying, determines on what the certificate is for and who wants to redeem said authentic data of the item.
This chart looks like a double top, actually. If you look at the monthly candle. Now we're back at the bottom. All right. So what's the big one? Big ones today that we're
Right. Yeah. I'll take over. So
Y'all know what I'm
coins
gonna say.
today. We have stable coins are always going to be up at the top because people use them a lot. I think most of what you see at the top either is a store of value, has a lot of R&D going into it, or is being used highly as utility. So I put Tether USD, BNB, XRP, Doge, Cardano. I put all of those in just fast utility platforms. People are just using them just to sling money around real quick. It's not because they necessarily believe strongly in those platforms. It's just that they're fast and cheap to move money, right? They could be changed for one another, no big deal. Dogecoin's the only one that's kind of different from this because there is so much memery that happens with its routine pumping. So if you can identify a low point in Doge and hold it, some people gamble that way, and they certainly do make money. I've certainly made a bag or two with Doge pumps, but Polygon Matic is something that's really, really interesting. This was made to basically fix issues Ethereum had. It's like, hey, Ethereum's choking like a dog who eats too quickly. Let's create a platform that is fast, is cheap, avoids a lot of the same issues that ETH has been suffering. And so Polygon has had a ton of adoption. There's a ton of people developing on it. It is probably today the best NFT experience you can get. OpenSea supports them. And what's trippy about Polygon is people can actually wrap their ETH on Polygon and buy NFTs, no big deal. And it allows ETH to be unblocked for its use case. I personally really don't advocate for ETH. I think ETH is a really good software developer kit. It's a really good place for people to maybe learn how some of these technologies work, but I really don't trust the people who are driving that ship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's become quite centralized.
Hey, Tam, what do you think about ETH?
If the regular, or what's known as Ethereum right now?
The proof of stake.
Proof of stake Ethereum. It's another one of the coins, like many coins past, I did own. I've sold all of it. I think ETH will have a place in NFT royalties. So I think it's you can use it for that and gain royalties if you hold some ETH based NFTs. But if it was my wallet personally that all that's going to, I'm selling ETH. I think ETH, and I've been very vocal about this, ETH's biggest problem is it can only communicate with itself. It is absolutely a siloed experience.
God,
and
that's
I
my
think,
kind of coin.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it doesn't have value. That doesn't mean that you can't do things with it. But I think projecting far into the future of this space, I do not think a siloed experience is what is going to thrive deep into the future of cryptocurrency and DeFi. I think it is an absolute detriment. I also think that they're very centralized in their staking platforms and who validates for ETH. That is scary in a broad view thing. Could that backfire? Yes. Will it? I don't know. But the potential is there. But projecting far into the future, that is why I would not hold ETH, is because it is way too siloed for what I believe is the future of this space. We talk about adoption. We talk about, ETFs and corporations and everybody having a store of their wealth. Well, if you want all those things for growth in the space, a siloed experience is not what is going to get us there. So that is my biggest complaint with ETH. Again, doesn't mean it doesn't have value. It's just not value for me. I'd rather go with something else.
Yep. Inter-blockchain connectivity is probably
that is the future.
The next big piece of development to really boom this space. Polkadot is really focused on DeFi, if I'm not mistaken.
To me, if I had to choose a DeFi coin out of this, it would be Polkadot, because they, like you said, Brandon, they were a little more focused on ETH's shortcomings, which was the ability to communicate outside of itself. And Polygon and Polkadot were working on that. So, but that's I'm a Cosmos person, and that's why I believe in Cosmos. And Cosmos will be a top 10 coin, probably quarter 1, quarter 2.
I think so too.
Where's the current Cosmos?
It's like the top 15.
Oh, we'll get to it down the list, and that's one of things on Santa's good boy and good girl list. But DAI is just a stable coin. Tron, these guys have confused me for so long. They are such a basket of hype PR. Like, it's like, what the hell do you do? Oh yeah, well, we have all these celebrities. It's like, this feels scammy as shit.
Anything that
he was trying
anything
to prop up
that Justin Tron is involved in, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole at all. And that's because people like Brandon Mihai may have been in the space a long time, and we've watched what this guy has done. So if you're just now in the space and you hear trash talk about a particular person, you're like, wow, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. What's the deal? We've watched this happen over years and years and years. And this guy needs to crawl under a rock and stay there.
Yeah, Warren Buffett called Bitcoin rat poison after that dinner that Justin's son bought. Of course, it all went to charity, Warren Buffett's charity, but the end result was Bitcoin is rat poison squared. Good job, buddy.
Represent gang. So Tron, you could probably make some money, but I see it as a shit coin, and I think most long-term coiners see it as a shit coin. Litecoin, I think it holds similar. What's that?
It's good to trade. So if you understand trading, you can trade this Bitcoin.
You can sling shit coins and make all kinds of money. You can also lose all kinds of money just because you don't know where the bottom is. But Litecoin, I'd say it really fits into the same category as these highly transactional utility coins. They have no real wide precedence of loyalty. People use it the same way as Dogecoin or Ripple or Tether. They're using it just to kind of throw money to and from really quickly with low transaction fees.
And I would look at that too.
But they could swap it out for any other thing. They don't give a shit.
Right. What problem are you solving? Right. And some people will say that, well, it's a test net for Bitcoin, and that's true. And so there is value there. But again, projecting into the future, what problem are you solving? Well, you're not. You're quote unquote riding Bitcoin's tail by being the test net and the self-proclaimed silver to Bitcoin's gold. And that's fine. But, because you're doing something, but what are you doing into the future past that? What problem are you solving? Are you just simply good being a test net? And if you are, but don't talk to me about how Litecoin is going to explode in value because it's crazy, great, and this, that, and the other, when again, you have a use case, but it stops there. It's got to be projecting into the future and really, really making people's lives easier.
Yeah, developing, building, and everything. Isn't there anymore?
Right.
It's a test dummy. So if there's a test coming up and it succeeds, you see it pump.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard people ask this question. Hey, what do you think of Shiba Inu? Well, I've read their white paper. They claim to be a community-driven coin that's pretty loosely based on ETH, from what I remember. That their goal is to have a DEX. Their goal is to have the ability to stake, but they use really gross language, like you bury your Shiba in the ground and you get bones. You're like, you're killing dogs. That's your whole. They're a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All dog.
Yeah. You bury a dog in the ground and you get dog bones. That's what
Yeah.
you do.
What
don't you?
happens.
So it is a dog poo coin.
Yeah, it's dog poop. So you could probably make some hype money slinging this thing, but I'm not doing that. So
Yeah,
No.
long term, no.
If all you talk about is what you're going to do, then I have somewhere else to be.
Yeah.
well,
talking
not just that, but
about-
you're not solving a problem, and you're memeing off of Dogecoin's success. So Solana, I think, is an interesting one. There's a lot of potential here, but the question is, will it be realized? Because there's a whole lot of people behind Solana that are in like big IT college backgrounds. You know, a lot of like MIT and Palo Alto colleges, and it does support NFTs. It does support smart contracts, but I'm really concerned about their solvency.
Yeah.
You know, the Solana Foundation, I know there's huge questions about whether they can actually back things up. So,
Yep. And the biggest thing is Solana is very, very tightly affiliated with FTX. They are not FTX, but they were very blanketed with them. And until the bankruptcy proceedings have been realized with the current fallout and what all is going to happen there, I would not mess with Solana at all until that stuff is figured out in the courts.
So alternates to Solana.
really risky.
Alternates to Solana where you can mint and everything else. What have you guys seen? I think I've heard
Polygon.
Polygon, yep.
Polygon is a good one. Is it a Axlar? It starts with an A.
Not Avex, right?
No, I'll think of it.
But there are alternatives too as a hedge.
Looking at what coins we have like reason to think are likely to be much higher on this chart in the near future, I do think Monero as a privacy coin, a lot of people are realizing like, oh crap, like if the governments are really looking at regulating things heavily, I want to make sure my funds are where I control them and they don't have proof of whatever. So that's the reason Monero is where it is right now, and it's probably going to keep moving up. And Cosmos, I really do think this is an undervalued coin. The reason being, it's an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem of a lot of people who are actually developing really rapidly. And Cosmos has done this interesting thing where they've developed a whole bunch of different modules that can be plugged together, and they can really expedite how fast things can be moved into the blockchain development. I think, I think there will be a lot of promise there, and you probably wouldn't hurt yourself, not financial advice, but you probably wouldn't hurt yourself to have a bag of Cosmos and to pay attention to what's happening in their ecosystem.
And especially when you see others
Tampa,
like
any opinions
Kadena Chain. Kadena Chain. Yeah, I know Tam's going to really deep dive on this one, but
I'll do it. I'll do a deep dive on it later.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Cosmos. Not financial advice, full disclosure. I own a ton of it and will continue to buy it for multiple reasons.
And you have other, in the beauty of this one, because it's an ecosystem, you have other blockchains tying into it. So let's say Kadena is tying into Cosmos to provide proof of work consensus, not just proof of stake. So it's really integrating everything that's good, everything with blockchain into a single ecosystem. So why is this good? It's because when you're a corporation and you finally understand what blockchain is, what the benefits are, and why this industry is so future driven, the bleeding edge of it, and you understand it, you would look for something that works with every other blockchain. So if there's other companies that began with a specific blockchain, Cosmos is going to be one of those multi-chain that will incorporate, where you can actually process transactions from one to the other in the easiest form. So you do want interoperability as part of your long-term investment. So it's kind of like the Amazon of blockchains, where you need something, it's there within the ecosystem.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a really thought through
That's cool.
SDK. But that's all we have for the show today. Hope everyone has a lovely holiday with their
Who's doing
family.
birthdays?
Want to get into birthdays
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah, and I do
we
want to
have,
deep dive some of
Jim
these coins
Harbaugh.
a little later. Oh,
Yeah.
No, Harbaugh. Yeah. Nice.
As far as birthdays go, we have Jim Harbaugh. He's 58. Ricky Martin. I know he got caught for some chomo potential, so we'll see what happens there. He's 50. And a chomo, probably.
I was a
Ryan
kid when I
Seacrest is
remember-
47.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Seems
Devontae
old.
Adams, shout outs to the man. He's 29. And
who's
on
not on that
Santa's
list,
naughty
dude?
list, who's that?
Eddie Vedder is 58 today. Lead singer for Pearl
Oh,
Jam.
dang.
Oh, he's not.
Oh,
in there.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's amazing. On Santa's naughty list, though, we have Christy Mist on the 25th. She'll be 49. She's featured in Ass Clowns 1, Buffy Brass Barbecue, and Do You Kiss Your Mother with That Mouth, Fudge Packer, and What a Piece of Arse. She's certainly on Santa's naughty list, and we hope she could be on the good list next year.
It sounds like
But
she was
until
working her way
then-
onto a good list.
She might be. She might be. Unknown, though. So until then, happy holidays. Keep calm, huddle on.
Have a good
We'll
one.
see you on
Yeah.
Monday.
Going.
If you see Santa's sleigh at her house, you know she's doing her job.
Hun-
Have a good one.